the International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening, I'm Nashon Marenga. In the news tonight, Minister's S&T a looting scheme, says political analyst. Police still searching for one missing street kid. Utapi town receives an additional water purification plant. And Business on One, Comments Corner, Sport and the weather. Political analyst Ndumba Kamwanya has described the subsistence and travel or S&T allowance paid by the government for official trips as a corrupt scheme and a way of looting the government's coffers. Kamwanya said many government officials exploit these allowances as there are many loopholes in the rules and policies governing such processes. Kamwanya's comments come after Fish Rod accused and former Fisheries and Marine Resources Minister Bernard Esau, during his bail hearing, revealed how ministers raked in money by traveling.
The ministers are getting a lot of money. You are corrupt because you are getting a lot of money from S&Ts. My Lord, I had a formula of traveling. I have to be open here, my Lord.
So what we are seeing there is that he's trying to lessen his sins, for so to say, so that he maybe the courts may think that he accumulated his wealth in a more legal processes, which is the S&T travel. But it is troublesome. Because what he was actually confessing to is what we have been saying, what has been the public crying about, that the S&T travels by government officials, more in particular politicians, is corruption by another means. It is legal, it is difficult to pinpoint because these people are going outside the country on official purposes, and they are entitled to that. But that scheme in itself, as I already said, that is looting of the state resources by legal means. It is allowed, but because of the loopholes in the rules and policies that govern that processes, people have exploited, and that's why he was talking about he had a formula to travel. 80 to 90% of those travels, they do not yield any concrete result. You fancy languages, but when it comes to concrete outcomes, when the officials come back home, it's zero.
As a mitigating measure, Kamwanya recommended that the government must use delegates assigned to Namibian embassies across the world to engage and promote the countries to investors in order to reduce unnecessary S&T payments.
You have some companies camping for 6 months in Dubai. Ask them, they were chasing apparently investors, but ask them where are the investors that the Namibian taxpayers and the government paid for people to be deployed, almost like military deployment. 6 months is military deployment. Well, there has to be clear processes and the rules, and also including limitations that how many times a minister can travel. And remember that we also have embassies in some of those countries, and the reason why we have them is also, or the reasons are also for them to engage in bilateral talks or engagement, to promote Namibia, to sell Namibia to investors, that they can do those type of work. So it is really unnecessary every time that somebody has to travel from here to a country where there is an embassy. It is good that he is one of the senior ministers, and he agreed, and it was under oath, and he said that there is corruption, and I agree that it's corruption by another means.
Kamwanya concluded that there has to be clear rules and limitation of ministers traveling abroad, adding that officials must provide detailed reports of their travels to ensure transparency.
Have fun in the sun this summer with Fabu Farms Desert Sun Range. Formulated to protect you from harmful UVA and UVB rays, Fabu Farms Desert Sun Range is laboratory tested. Available as a sun protection cream and spray, the Desert Sun Range also contains jojoba oil, a natural sunscreen perfect for protecting children, adults, and babies from sunburn and skin cancer. With Fabu Farms Desert Sun Range, you can have a fantastic summer. Available at leading supermarkets and pharmacies countrywide. Remember, sunscreen should always be reapplied every 2 hours or after swimming, drying off, or sweating.
One Africa brings you Netflix, a showcase of local films proudly produced by Namibian filmmakers.
The kids ate already.
Sundays at 8 p.m. only on One Africa TV.
What do all you know, hero? Huh?
The Namibian police stated that among the 11 homeless children washed away by the flash floods in the capital, 5 bodies have been recovered while 5 are alive and 1 is still missing. The group of homeless children were washed away from the water channel situated next to Rose Authority in Windhoek last week.
Shipandeni stated that authorities are working tirelessly to recover the missing body. Shipandeni added that all the 5 bodies were found along the Gamams riverbed.
6 of them, they were at large, where they have been missing, they have been reported missing, so we started the search. And then, of course, the following day, that was a Thursday, so we discovered 2 bodies in the riverbed, just next to Boys Pioneers in Rado Park, and that is in the riverbed, Gamams riverbed. So that was on Thursday. And then again, on top of that, on Friday again, in the morning, we discovered another body that's in the same riverbed, just opposite IUM, Rado Park. And then the same day, Friday, in the afternoon, we discovered another body, again, just somewhere close to Boys Pioneers in the same riverbed. So as we speak, yesterday, Monday, we have discovered another body again. And that is in the same riverbed, Gamams riverbed, and that is just opposite Skynet, again just in the vicinity of Game Shopping Center, in the same riverbed, of course. So as we speak, we do have 1 missing person of the 11 that were reported to us, and that missing person, we do not know the whereabouts. We can't confirm or even to state that wherever that person is dead. Therefore, we are still on the search. We are quite busy, day and whatever, all the days, weekends, we are searching. And that's why we are going as far as discovering those bodies.
Shipandeni cautioned public members to refrain from crossing rivers while it is raining. He also advised people whose homes are in riverbed to move to higher ground when they see their place is flooding to avoid being washed away.
So what we can caution the public members is that, more especially those that find themselves next to riverbeds and bridge, during this rainy season, it might get worse. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful to the point where we are advising people to stay away from the riverbed, because you never know, more especially when it's raining. If you find yourself, whether you are staying or you are moving closer to next to the riverbed, please, let's be very, very careful, because it might become very, very risky for us, and we do not want to experience more worse of what we have already experienced. So, and those that are sleeping under the bridges, please, Totally. Let's refrain from doing so. And if we do have home that we call home, let's go home and then let's go and sleep home. Especially now, this rainy season. You can see how it started already. It might get worse. We do not know what is coming, so but then we are just cautioning the public members. Let's stay far from the bridges and as much as also us being cautious whenever we find ourselves next to the riverbeds.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform and the Namibia Water Corporation, NamWater, inaugurated an additional settler water purification plant at Utapi in the Omusati region last week that will ensure continuous and reliable water supply. The additional water purification plant will help the current situation where water supply at the town is rationed due to insufficient water supply by the plant.
Earlier this year, the town of Utapi ran into a water crisis because of low sufficiency in the supply capacity of the water purification plant. Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Carl Schletwein, stated that residents were collecting water directly from the canal and as a result, their gardens perished. The minister added that the water purification plant will provide up to 200 cubic meters of water per hour, which is an additional 130 cubic meters to the current capacity of purified water supplied per hour.
It's for the Utapi town and the immediate surroundings of Utapi. Again, it's an infrastructure that has been 40 years old. It has had a capacity of 70 cubic meters an hour, whereas the demand has grown over the years, over the last 40 years, to over 200 cubic meters an hour. Now that upgrade has now been accomplished in a matter of 5 months. We have installed a settler plant. It's a plant where the flocculants are picked up and the sludge is separated from the cleaner water. We are very happy that we could, with that, resolve the crisis that we had in Utapi and in their surroundings. Unfortunately, we were forced to restrict water supply because of the lack of capacity for these 5 months. That is now solved.
Schletwein said that the plant was finished in 5 months after Aqua Services Engineering began construction in July 2022. Schletwein also called upon communities to protect water infrastructures as vandalism comes at an alarmingly high financial cost.
Your region, Omusati, has one of the highest population and is the home of a large agricultural production activity. And this ever-growing scope and scale of economic activities in the Omusati region increased the demand for water quite significantly. Now that is not an excuse, it is just a matter of fact that when populations grow, when economic activities grow, when agriculture grows, the demand will grow, and it is the responsibility of the government to satisfy that demand. We cannot sit back and say, well, now you are growing, that's your problem. We must supply that basic commodity of water to align our capacity with the demand that it brings. The plant has been under significant pressure to produce enough water and to meet the increasing demand of the community and business. You can imagine a plant designed for 70 must supply the demand for 200. Settler plant is a funny name, you know. We know settlers in different connotations, but this settler is when you have dirty water, turbid water like in the canal, you add a chemical and then all the larger particles attach to that chemical and creates little flocks and they settle out. And this settler plant is the plant in where that process is happening. So you have, that's why it's called settler.
The minister apologized to the community on behalf of all stakeholders for the hardships suffered during the water crisis. He concluded his remarks by saying the value of water is only noticed when the well is empty.
Growing up in a big family
There weren't always enough seats at the table, so we started eating on the floor so that we could enjoy our food and cokes together. I kept that tradition in my own family to remind us that the most important part of any meal is being together.
Welcome to Business on One. The Association of Local Authorities in Namibia, ALAN, and the South African Local Government Association, SALGA, recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding at the Walfish Bay to expand the bilateral relationship and knowledge sharing.
The association will cooperate and develop operational plans in several key emerging fields: primary capacity building, project management, and fostering knowledge sharing, among others. SALGA's President Becky Stoffel, who stressed the importance of ensuring implementation of their task, stated that they look forward to discussing challenges faced by the two countries.
We have a responsibility, amongst others, to ensure a sense of urgency in the implementation of our tasks as directed and entrusted by our membership. And in so doing, building a strong association of municipalities that are more active and efficient in carrying out our mandate to the greater benefit of our members and ultimately the communities we are serving. In short, our task is to support local authorities to respond to the complex and rapid changes of the 21st century and use the opportunities that it had and the fourth industrial revolution presents for modernizing governance, centered on people's development. I wish us to turn our back on focusing on events. Yes. This includes the UCLG World Congress and attending the conferences of sister associations in the region to build one united Africa to focus on the challenges that we are facing.
The Deputy Minister of Urban and Rural Development in Namibia, Natalia Gogoses, stated that the only way they can overcome the challenges they face is when they come together as a team and keep their word.
Promises, commitments, big words. I cannot otherwise tell this August House. I have heard them before. I'm hearing them again. And I want the leadership to mean them. Let the words expressed have meaning. Let the commitments and the promises that we are making to our sovereigns have positive impacts on the lives and the livelihoods to those for whom we are making.
Gogoses applauded the two associations for signing another MOU after the first one signed in 2007. After ALAN and SALGA signing the first MOU in 2007, Gogoses applauded the two associations for signing the second one.
And that is all we have for you. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for more on the business front.
Push. Draw one. A new illegal drug high taking my country's youth to a dark place. Young people killing themselves. Young people harming themselves and others.
So this month we are going to say no to it. We don't want it in this school. We don't want it around us.
What's going on?
What did I do to deserve this from you of all people?
You need to stop fighting my battles for me.
People can't know that we're meeting up. It could ruin things for us.
For us? Get out.
I'm Jessica Lagranzi, Marketing Coordinator here for the Cost-Safe Arts and Crafts Center in Swakopmund. We started our journey in 2009 already, and as part of
And now, a look at Comments Corner, your daily dose of comments from our social media pages. Sanitation remains a challenge for the Goriangkhab Dam inhabitants who once staged a land grab in the Oshomwithe and Kwanangobe areas before being relocated to the land which they now occupy. Community members say they are still subjected to drinking dirty water from a nearby riverbed a year after the relocation. John asked whether this is really in Windhoek or Okongo. Delilah urged the head of state to look after his people. Aleta said they should go refill the cars for fresh water. Peter said the water that they are collecting is actually sewage from the Goriangkhab Dam. Nancy highlighted that there is no free water anywhere. That is all from Comments Corner. Be sure to engage in our stories on our social media pages for broadcast on News on One.
This is VOA Tech.
The scary thing about traumatic brain injury is that brain cells don't grow back the same way skin cells would after a scrape. So often rehabilitation means retraining the brain to do mundane tasks.
All right, ready to make the transfer now?
Traumatic injury, when somebody, such as a car accident, where they're going forward, your brain is moving kind of like jello in there, and it's called coup contra coup, so bounces.
This is VOA Tech.
And now, let's have a look at some sports news. The Namibian women's senior hockey fives team recently won 4-2 against Zambia at the Women Hockey Fives Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Egypt. As a result of this win, Namibia will automatically represent the country at the Hockey Fives World Cup, which is slated for January 2024 in Muscat, the capital of Oman in the Arab.
The International Hockey Federation hosted the Women's Hockey Fives, which concluded on the 15th of December in Egypt. Sport on One caught up with the head coach of the Women's Senior Fives team, Erwin Handura, at his residence in Windhoek, who expressed his joy after an impressive win.
We only started Hockey Fives at the beginning of November. We had like 5 weeks of intense training and preparation for the first ever hockey fives in Ismailia, Egypt, where we won the gold medal. So yeah, I mean, it was a short-term event, a new event. Even all the countries that were there, you could see that not everybody really is playing hockey fives as a competition or on a league basis. But I think we did pretty well as a country. We had a very young team, some inexperienced players that have never been to tournaments before, and we did quite well winning the competition. Not all the nations played hockey fives. Like in Namibia, we never have hockey five leagues. We only play the outdoor national league and the indoor national league. Those are the only two leagues we have. So hockey fives is a combination of both. The field is smaller, but you have boards surrounding the whole pitch. The ball is never out unless it goes over the boards. So that's why it's interesting. So it actually suited us because we are the number one ranked team in indoor in Africa. So I think that showed that when we played at the hockey fives, because we have that indoor experience, we could easily use the boards, you understand, and also eliminate all the other teams because we are using the boards in indoor. I think that was actually to our advantage.
Despite facing few challenges prior to the competition, Handura, who was beaming with satisfaction, said it was particularly satisfying to beat an equally formidable foe, South Africa.
We've actually never beaten South Africa in any test series before. We've beaten them in a World Cup qualifier twice, but in a test series where you play 5 test matches, we never beaten them before because they really came out so strong. But I think we prepared very well. And I think one of the biggest tactics was the mental training of the athletes. Mentally, we prepared quite well. The athletes were actually not in top form. You understand? Because we only had 6 weeks to prepare for that competition as well. And some athletes were still coming from South Africa like 3 or 4 days before the competition. So that makes it also very tough because these are all students, they have to study, they had exams, and one of them could not even come because of the exams. But I think in the end, we managed to show South Africa that we are now the queen in the desert as we beat them twice in the indoor qualifier at the Africa Cup of Nations, and also beating them now in a 5 test series we played at the end of October.
Handura concluded that his team will jet off to Holland to set up a 2-week training camp for high-performance sessions, playing friendly matches, as well as final preparations to the build-up for the Women's Fives Indoor World Cup slated to take place in South Africa, Pretoria.
That's all the sports news we had for you. Please stay tuned for the weather forecast. We have come to the end of tonight's edition of News on One. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. From me, Nishan Marenga, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Thank you for watching this show on One Africa.